Welcome to this month's version of What's New in Digital. We are chatting with Kent today. Kent, excited to hear your 3 points.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Andrew.
Uh,
Uh,
so,
Go
well, let
ahead.
me just give you a little bit of hype. Kent is a fractional CMO at No Typical Moments, and we're going to be diving into 3 discussion points today. Hope this is value packed in our 15-minute dialogue. And let's jump right in, Kent. What is your first point you want to talk through?
Sure. So the first point I have is something that many of you are probably familiar with, and it's AI. And more specifically, why curating AI is going to be more and more crucial in the future. Everyone right now is aware of AI, ChatGPT, how AI is influencing different social platforms, and how it's going to evolve in the future. But not as many people are talking necessarily about curating AI and really why also AI shouldn't be feared. I think in the market, there's a big thought that, oh, AI is coming to take my job, right? I'm going to be replaced by AI. And maybe in some corner cases, that's the case. But truly, as we move into the future and AI evolves, it's going to be about how people can leverage AI as a tool, right? How people can curate it, understand the output of it to make their lives easier. And once you kind of understand that it can be used as a tool and leveraged, it becomes less of an intimidating sort of thing, and something that really shouldn't be feared. An example of that is ChatGPT, where you can use ChatGPT to help you write blog posts, emails, help summarize, concepts, or get a kind of like a Wikipedia type summary of something. But oftentimes, if you don't ask the right question to ChatGPT, you don't get the right answer. So being succinct with your questions and prompts to something like a ChatGPT, which is an AI, is really important for you, your business, whatever you might be doing to make sure you're leveraging that technology, so you get the most out of it. It's definitely, AI is definitely the hot new thing. Um, I think when people think of AI, maybe they think of the Spielberg movie from the early 2000s, or like androids taking over and robots taking over like iRobot. But the reality is that AI as it exists right now is kind of, it's marketing AI. It's not true AI. AI hasn't really evolved to the point where it's true artificial intelligence. And I don't think there's been an AI that's passed the Turing test to this point, which is true artificial intelligence. AI at this point is essentially a very effective, complicated algorithm, and nothing more. So I think understanding that that's where we are right now with AI, and from where we are to true AI, there's a bit of a gap in terms of time and development before we get there. So people have these
Quick
fears
question,
of,
Kent. Let me
right.
let me interject real quick because I'd love to hear kind of how you practice with AI and specifically ChatGPT. How frequently do you think you use it on a weekly basis?
I'd say I use ChatGPT maybe every other day.
Hmm.
Um, Oftentimes, like I'll use it to help. Like if someone has sent me their thoughts and I need to turn it into an email or a blog post, I'll have it help me summarize it or break it down into bullet points, take out the key
Hmm.
points. Um, Other times I'll use it to get a sense of what is prevailing in the market. Like if a concept comes up on a client call and they're talking about a certain technology or a company, I can use ChatGPT to summarize that company, maybe their competitors, and maybe even some info or news about that company or that concept, right? Where it's essentially kind of like a on-demand sort of Wikipedia type
Hmm.
tool that you can use to give you a download on what's relevant, with what you just discussed in a meeting you might have. So it's a way in which you can also educate yourself just on a topic, or I think up until like 2021, news
Mhm.
surrounding a given topic.
How did you get better at prompting? Was this something where you were subscribing to newsletters on ideas? Was it simply just logging in a certain number of times per month and you started to get the hang of it?
I would say a combination of the two.
Mhm.
Um, my background is in uh, philosophy and kind of like critical thinking. So I try to ask it very logical questions
Mhm.
that aren't necessarily open-ended. And once you see, like you ask a question, you get a result, and maybe you don't get the result that you want when you ask that question, you can kind of get a feel of the input output dynamic with ChatGPT, and you can adjust just basically using guess and check.
Yeah.
And over time, you kind of learn unconscious competence with how to ask ChatGPT a question.
I saw something, and I'm going to go to your next point after this little commentary is so Kent will get this because he's an Apple fan, and Cam Hayward came back the other day for the Steelers game. So I went to ChatGPT, has Dolly currently is in beta there. And
Yeah,
so I was just messing around trying to create an AI image of Cam Hayward's return to the Steelers. What I realized actually is so I gave it a little prompt, and I'm average at prompt engineering. Dolly spit out a photo, but then within the photo, if you clicked on it, it gave you a description of, what it kind of took my prompt in, expanded it, and kind of what you can do with your prompt engineering,
right.
especially for photos, because I haven't experimented that much with Midjourney. Is pretty amazing of just how specific instructions you need to be able to give it to get
Right.
really captivating photos now.
And sometimes too, like if you give it a prompt that has a word that has a double meaning, and there's more than one sense perception of that word,
Mhm.
right? It will give you the wrong, like you might have had an intention of what you wanted that word to mean, but the AI doesn't know that because there are
Mhm.
multiple definitions for that word, and it might translate that into the image. So that
Right.
definitely happens with all of the image creation AIs. And in some cases, it happens too with uh, ChatGPT as well. So using ChatGPT is very similar to how, and a lot of AI tools, how you want to provide technical instructions to like web developers, right?
Mhm.
Because as a marketer, I kind of exist on a high level overview view, forest through the trees type level of what I'm looking to get.
Mhm.
Whereas a developer and Chat GPT kind of exists more in the trees and the weeds of what's going on.
Mhm.
Um, so luckily, I'm able to kind of transfer my experience in speaking to a developer to a AI like
Mhm.
ChatGPT, and I found that that works pretty well.
Awesome. Let's go to topic number two.
Topic number two, I think, is it's really just how providing value through your organic content, organic digital content, is going to improve your conversion overall. Whether that's opt-ins for your newsletter, webinar, um, and ultimately your sales and shorten your sales cycles. Uh, I work with a lot of clients who are very excited to scale up their ads, launch their funnels, and start driving revenue through paid ads. One of the things that is often really critical in launching a successful paid campaign is having a healthy organic campaign next to it in parallel to help nurture your audience, your prospects, and your clients. So when they do book a meeting with you, when they do sign up for your webinar, they're already at step 2 or 3 in the process of getting to like, know, and trust you through that social proof. So when you have a call to action if you have a webinar, if you have a documentary, or if you're just driving a consultation call, they already like, know, and trust you from that content that they can
Mhm.
Google when they search your name or your company name. So making sure that you not only are posting on social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, um, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever it might be that works best for you, um, not just posting, but making sure that you're posting content that is in alignment with your overarching core messaging for the value proposition of your business.
Mhm.
And that content that you create should really be reverse engineered from the end point of the customer journey that you're searching for strategically. So when you do that the right way, through oftentimes free content, could be a 3-minute YouTube video, a 5-minute video, a 30-second, tidbit of information that's relevant to your industry. It really helps nurture and incubate your prospects and your leads. So once you're having that sales conversations, it's a lot easier and it takes a lot less time to close them.
What is a brand who you really admire with their organic content strategy?
A brand that I really admire with, I think Linktree does a good job. If you're on Instagram a lot, you see how influencers are using Linktree in their marketing. Um, I think there are a number of different, not necessarily run-of-the-mill brands, but I think the individuals in digital who figure this out first are kind of like the streamers and the YouTubers and the influencers, right? They are always searching for that output, or they're always searching for that content, which is going to resonate the most with the social algorithms that exist, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok. Um, and they curate their content based on what's working best for them. And that's why they're so successful. So a lot of times in digital, you can just look at those, top individuals in the industry and kind of mirror the principles that they're using to generate that much traffic. You don't want to replicate it entirely, and you want to make sure whatever you're creating is relevant for your business. But oftentimes you can use that as research and development for the type of organic content um, you want to create. Another thing I'll say about organic social is that each platform has its own black box type of algorithm that they're never going to tell you how the input output works in terms of, oh, if someone likes my post in the first 30 minutes, therefore I'm going to show it to more people who follow me, or I might show it to people who are friends of friends. You're never going to know what that exact algorithm is, and it's always changing. It's always being optimized on the back end. That's why ultimately, instead of trying to game the system, essentially, just focus on providing great content, provide value to your audience, and they'll appreciate that. They'll like you, they'll know you, they'll trust you, and ultimately, hopefully, buy from you as well.
Let's go to your third tip.
Third tip, really, it kind of ties in everything that I discussed in the past, in the last two tips, and that's how over time the strategies and tactics of digital marketing change every year, but the principles behind what works stay the same. So, and that ties back to providing value. Now, the package that you put that value in might change, whether you're using Facebook, whether you're using Instagram, whether you're using TikTok, but the principles and the foundation underneath it don't change. And that really, at the end of the day, I know in selling, a very popular kind of idiom is always be closing, right? ABC. If you've seen Glenn Ross. In marketing, I've kind of adapted that to be always be content. And that means always be delivering content, always be delivering value that your audience is going to gain value from, because it gives you positive, like, social equity, and you have kind of like a positive perception in the space. Once you give to receive, the law of reciprocity can be very, very powerful for you and your business. And it's something that is, honestly, it's always been underutilized by brands and companies. And it should be at the core of any marketing strategy campaign that you look to execute over time. If you try to skip steps and game the algorithm, what you'll find is maybe you can have success in a given month or a given quarter, but over time, that's going to come back to bite. Whereas if you focus on the foundation and providing value, you can truly provide sustainable and scalable success by adhering to that one principle.
What are some common pitfalls you see of brands who are trying to kind of game the system in digital? Kind of what I mean by that is I think we see it all the time where people buy fake followers and they claim, I have 100,000 people following me on Instagram. What you don't realize is those are all bots.
Yeah,
what are
that's
some other pitfalls you see?
Well, a pitfall of that one specifically, like if you are if you are one of those individuals who buys followers, for example, on Facebook or Instagram, you might have 10,000 followers, right? You're also lighting $2,000-3,000 on fire, right? Because there's no true value other than the chest beating number. Look at me, I have 10,000 followers. You're hamstringing yourself when it comes to the output of the algorithms in Instagram. So say you bought 10,000 followers on Instagram, you go to create an organic post with your content. It could be really good content. Because all of those followers are fake, those dead profiles are not going to be engaging with and liking your content. And all of the social media platforms look at how are people engaging with my content when I post to assign a value to you. Hey, are you posting good content? And if you're performing to an audience of 10,000 fake people and you get no engagement, the algorithm is going to hold that against you, right? And you might have 10,000 followers, but you're not going to organically grow your profile because you're not satisfying that algorithm. So that is definitely one of those pitfalls. I would say another pitfall of some of the mistakes that clients make is they try to skip steps and go straight to trying to monetize their funnels without providing value, or they try to run a campaign without having their operational foundations in place with their funnels and their email marketing systems, or they fail to test them before they launch. And that's another scenario that you can get in where you're spending off many times 5 figures and kind of just wasting that budget because you didn't dot your I's and cross your T's before you launched.
Awesome. Ken, any closing remarks you want to make?
No, I think the last point I made, it really just provide value to your audience, understand what your audience wants, and reverse engineer all your content in your funnels based off of that, based off of the end in mind. And you might not have that short, quick win in terms of revenue, but if you adhere to those principles over time, you're going to develop lasting and sustainable success.
Perfect. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Andrew.